Hello, everyone. Finally, I got in. Took me some time because I had some technical difficulties and getting used to using the Facebook portal with Zoom. And so that was a little bit of a challenge for me today. Thank you so much for those of you that waited patiently. I know it was scheduled for 1 o'clock, and it did take me some time. I'm getting used to it. It's something new that I have started a couple of weeks, and I am still getting used to all of the technology, and maybe I should make a lesson on technology and how to get all that done for everybody involved. So once again, I really appreciate you waiting for me. And today I'm so excited to present the topic of the week, which is overcoming procrastination and talking about some practical strategies. So first, I want to mention the appreciation of those of you that viewed the video of last week, commented, emailed me, sent me messages, and really gave me a great feedback, which gives me an amazing feeling that this is important for you all. And I am here to provide a lot more on a weekly basis, different topics. So if you have any other topics of interest, feel free to reach out to me via email, text, if you have my number, if you have my Exceed Learning Center channel on YouTube, that would be great. If you have access to my website, exceedlearningacademy.com, feel free to reach out to me from there. Anyway, any method, I will be more than pleased to address different topics, education topics, and I'm calling this Educational Monday with different things that I want to cover weekly. So first, I want to start with our today's mission of the week, and that is overcoming procrastination. I want to talk about some practical strategies. I know that a lot of us actually deal with that situation of procrastination. So first, let's talk about what it is. My goal for today is to have you understand why that happens, why some of us procrastinate more than others, and how we can overcome this. I want to talk about some strategies that hopefully will allow you to overcome this dragging of different things that we do throughout. So first of all, the problem. Why do we actually procrastinate? We know, and most of us are actually aware of the fact that procrastination is not in our best interest. We know that we don't want to do that. We want to get through the work that we want to be done, but still things cause us to really slow down. So those of you that know me actually know that I am a bookworm. I read a lot of books, and one of the books that I have read was Solving the Procrastination Puzzle by Tim Peikel. I hope I pronounce his name correctly, but if not, my apology. That's the correct spelling of the name. And in the book, he actually discovers that certain tasks make us procrastinate more. And by definition, procrastination is basically when you put things to do later, or you say, I can catch up with this, or just leave it alone until you feel a little bit more stressed and you actually have to do it. So the act of procrastination is a totally natural process. We all get through this process if we face things that we don't want to do. One of the things that I have noticed that causes me to procrastinate is if something is that you want to do is boring. It's not something that you actually enjoy. It's something that causes you frustration. A task that might be difficult to perform or ambiguous, not exactly centered on a topic or a task that you want to do. Something that can cause one to procrastinate is unstructured. If it's just general, if you know you have to do this, but that this is not exactly defined. The most common reason for procrastination is doing something that's not fun. Some of us don't like their job. Some of us know they need to get through certain tasks just because they need to get through it, not necessarily because they enjoy it. So whatever something is not enjoyable, we try to push it to later. Or in simple words, lack of personal interest. Just not interested to do it. Like doing my laundry. Not interested to do it, but yet really have to do it. And if we procrastinate until a point where you absolutely must do it, that creates a different thing that I will be discussing next week, and that's anxiety. So I first want to cover today those practical strategies. And before we actually delve in to those strategies, I want you to understand that procrastination is really neurological. It's in the neurological level. It's not illogical. Okay. It's the result of your emotional part of the brain, which tells you you can do that later. That emotional part of the brain is your limbic system, which is the strong, reasonable, rational part of your brain known as the prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex is actually the very logical thing that activates our actions. And we logically know that we have to do a certain task. But when Facebook comes over work, or when there's something a little bit different that triggers the more illogical, but definitely more enjoyable part of your brain, that is why we do what we do. So let's say on the way to home, you know there's so many other things that you have to do, but you tell yourself, maybe I'll watch one episode of Suits, or maybe I'll just do something else that is a little bit more enjoyable, more relaxable. And it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just creates a problem when that procrastination hurts your performance, and when there's something that you need to actually do, but don't do it because of the mentioned above reasons. So one of the most important strategies is really to learn time management. And I will cover, going on in a few weeks, a little bit more productive time management techniques. But one of the biggest well-known techniques is this technique of, and I hope I pronounce it correctly, it comes from the Italian word for tomato, pomodoro. But those of you that speak Russian definitely know that in Russian language, tomato sounds very similar to this. And it comes from this clock, stopwatch that people used to use in their kitchen. And as you can see, it runs for 25 minutes. So this is really where it came from. It's a time management technique that was designed in 1980 by Francesco Cirillo. And that technique is known to really boost productivity and overcome procrastination. So that technique, and I want to go into different details of that, really leverages the psychology of your time management. Let's first go over what this strategy includes. Suppose there is a task that you have to do. So you have to select your task first. When you select that task and you tell yourself that this is the project that you really have to do. It could be for anything related to work. It could be a house chore. It could even be a test study. That really is reflects to any activity that you have to do. And what you do with that activity, once you set yourself the task, is set the timer. The timer, as you saw on this tomato-shaped clock, is usually 25 minutes. And that's where this name came from, because that's the first clock timer that was designed for the kitchen and was traditionally 25 minutes. What you're doing is you're setting yourself a timer for 25 minutes. During those 25 minutes, you work intensively. You work only on the task that you have to do. Put your phone on silent, eliminate any distractions, make sure that you only do your work. When the timer goes off, you take a 5-minute break. and you take that break and you do whatever it is that you need to do. Stretch, check your email, check your phone, go on Facebook. But again, there is a timer for 5 minutes. That 5 minute is timed, and once time lapses, you repeat that. And you repeat that 4 times. It's a 25-minute work followed by a 5-minute break consistently for 4 times. After a repetition of 4 times, you actually get a break, which is longer. You decide what your break would be, 15 to 30 minutes. So what does it really do? This strategy really creates structure. It gives you this work mode, which is focused on a very short interval of time. 25 minutes is not a long interval to work. It focuses your work. It gives you short sprints of actual very productive work, followed by a little bit of a break. So that is really providing you the structure of doing the work. When you repeat that throughout your workday, you actually will find yourself so much more productive in the amount of work that you do, and how this work really creates the results that you want, and you are overcoming procrastination. So even though you don't like that action or activity that you actually have to do, you know that you are targeted for that specific amount of time. So it gives you accountability of time. It gives you productivity, and it gives you this short. That is a summary that I have for you. Plan your task, do it for 4 times, 25-minute work, 5-minute break for 4 times, and then you get yourself a long break. And that's another way that you can maybe print it out, put it in your office, remind yourself. You can order this clock on Amazon if you want, but we all have phones. You can target it for 25 minutes if you want. I personally love to eliminate the phone when I do the work, because phone does create a lot of other distractions, and I will come to other strategies as we go. But if you have that timer, or just any timer that does not have any additional apps on it, 25-minute work, 5-minute break, 25-minute work, 5-minute break for 4 intervals consecutively, and then take yourself 15 to 30-minute break and continue. Repeat that until you get everything that you want. So this technique actually allows you to see how much time it takes you for a specific task, because now you know you spent whatever amount of time, and whether you finished or not, you at least know what to plan going forward. How much did you achieve? And who is this for? This is a strategy that definitely is not for everybody. It is a time management strategy, but it's for those that get easily distracted. So you have 25-minute work where you know you're focusing on the work, and then there is that reward of 5 minutes doing whatever you want. It's actually for those that don't like their work. If you don't like what you're doing, but you still have to do it, you still have a specific task that must be done whether you like it or not, there's something to look forward. You know, it's only 25 minutes, and the more you accomplish, the less time you will have to spend on that task. It is actually for workaholic people as well. I consider myself workaholic. I work around the clock. I love what I do. And this is, not, for me, it's not a job. Everything I do, whether it's teaching, tutoring, or actually even writing, it is something I enjoy doing. So people that are overworking yourself, workaholic, can become burned out from the work. At the end of the day, you can be so exhausted, because if you are someone like me and you enjoy your job and you enjoy what you're doing, you don't feel the time passing, and it could be 3-4 hours, and you just keep working on what you like. You get exhausted, whether you feel it or not. At the end of the day, you are burnt out. So doing those intervals, my personal favorite is actually doing those intervals, get myself the breaks that I need, and get very productive in the work. And of course, it works for everybody in between. Somebody who doesn't like their job, and somebody's that's workaholic. Anyone in between, anyone that wants to just be focused on their work and manage their time appropriately. Of course, this is not the only strategy. The second strategy I want to cover today is the breaking down complex tasks. Sometimes we take upon ourselves such a big task, which really consequently causes us to procrastinate because it just seemed to be so difficult. It just seemed to be that there's so much to deal with and there's so much to do that you just put it away to do it later and do it later and do it later. But if you just identify your task, just whatever it is that you're doing, and create an outline of the steps of what you want to do, and then break it down, assigning yourself timelines, and then just measuring all the work that you've done and see how much more time you need. This is a very practical technique for big projects. If you're writing a book, or if you have to create a lecture, or if you have to learn or study for a specific test. Let's say it's a student that needs to study for chapter 3 test. Okay, you have a whole chapter covering for a test, and you really don't feel like studying until last minute because it's just a lot of studying. So if you just chop it into parts, and you just say chapter 3 includes 5 topics, and I just do one topic every half hour, or whatever that time frame is, it just makes it so much more easy to control. So basically taking one task, which is whatever amount of hours, I selected 2 hours here consecutively, but then you break it apart into shorter intervals of 25 minutes or whatever that takes, 24 minutes to get through that task, cutting it into smaller tasks that are so much easier to handle. The third strategy I want to get through is setting clear and achievable goals. And I will spend, again, one more lesson on what these goals are, but these are goals that you know you'll be able to overcome. We call them SMART goals, and I'll get to it in just a minute. But let's again say that you have a task of studying for chapter 3 test, and you have a test tomorrow. And you say, okay, I'm going to study for the test. When you say I'm going to study for the test, or I'm going to prepare this talk, or I'm going to prepare this assignment, whatever that is that you're actually doing, be a little bit more focused as opposed to vague. This is a very vague goal. I will study for the test. When? How long? A little bit more focused, right? How are you going to study? Are you going to take practice questions? Are you going to review your notes? How long are you going to study? Are you studying for an hour? Are you studying it for 5 hours? When are you starting? Are you starting in the morning? Are you starting afternoon? All of these are a little bit more focused and specific goals. When you set yourself clear goals, you know exactly what to expect. You actually hold yourself accountable for what you need to do. So instead of saying, I will study for the test, you can say, I will study for chapter 3 exam, doing 20 problems for the textbook before 6 o'clock today, or for 2 hours as soon as I come from work, or whatever works for you. But when you have this very set goal, it is so much easier to deal with, and it's much harder to procrastinate when you know exactly what it is that you have to do. So when you see your progress toward your goals, it gives you a little bit more source of comfort. You're feeling a little bit better when you get those little things done. So I want to summarize the roadmap for this, which I called SMART goals, because that would really eliminate the ambiguity. It will give you some motivation. It would allow you some breaks in between, but also knowing whether you achieved it or not. So the SMART goals are specific. So be very specific about your goal, whether it's the goal to study, or the goal to create a presentation, or a goal to do a simple task that you know you need to do by a certain amount of time. Make it measurable and achievable, something that you can achieve. Don't come with the unrealistic goal. I'm going to study a whole chapter within the next 20 minutes. You know it's not realistic. You know it's very hard to achieve, and you're just setting yourself to more procrastination because you know it's difficult to do. So specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. timely, very, very important. You got to time yourself. You got to put yourself into a specific time frame of how long it takes, what is it that you're doing, and so on. So give yourself the victories as you go through those little steps. Allow yourself to be happy about your progress. Really motivate yourself to moving to the next step. Now, with all that said, I want to provide you some tools that I personally use, and I'm sure there are so many other tools out there, but these are the ones I've selected to give you today. Some task managers, management tools. One of my personal favorite, well, I have two that I really like, it's the Todoist and the Microsoft To Do. These are tools that give you this breakdown into small tasks. And I want to spend some time show you each one of them. So this is the Todoist. There's another one, the Wonder Note, I believe it's called. The Wonder List. I personally don't like it, but I know a lot of people that use it. It's one of the most favorable productive task management tool. Feel free to explore it, download it. They all free. Those three are all free, and they are very productive in terms of what they can give you. So the Todoist is really a very simple project management tool. I love it because it allows you to do personal, work, and education. It divides into the different categories that you want. In addition, it allows you to support habits. As you can see, it gives you morning preview. So it gives you a preview of all of your tasks and your the things that you have to do. It allows you to review evenings. So the day before or the night before, you're going to review what you have to do. And then different strategies that they allow you to go through the tool. If you are a more old-fashioned individual and you like the writing, which I actually like at some point, I do have this planner to do, which I want to show you. Some people I just like to write and have it written. I have a planner to do, which I use every night before the next day, and I prepare my plan of the day. So I would write everything I have to do. It actually tracks notes and meetings and the day and so on. So that is very similar to the Todoist app, but it's in a written form. I know some people just prefer to write it as opposed to have an app and deal with the phone and the application. So that is a simple way to do this. In general, the Todoist allows assignment features. The assignments are specific tasks. So one more thing that is very appreciated with this app by me is that you can designate the tasks to someone else. So for example, if I want my daughter to do something, I designate that task and it's shared with her as a task that she has to do. You can do that with your team mates. You can do that with your employees, with your coworkers, whatever it is that you do. It actually allows you to switch tasks in between different team members. And it gives you timelines. It tells you when it's due. Really, really productive tool. The other productive tool is the Microsoft To Do. The Microsoft To Do is actually a full-on calendar. It allows you to do different tasks on a calendar. Also syncs across devices. So if you have an iPhone and a computer and another computer at work and whatever, the iPad, whatever devices you have, it actually allows you to sync between the different devices, so you don't leave it out somewhere and forget about it. So these are the two of my task manager favorite tools. There are also some tools that increase productivity. And these are some apps that I have played with to increase focus and productivity. And I want to enhance this couple of minutes to show you about each of these apps. So there are three that I find very useful. One is Focus at Will, second is Forest, and the last is Freedom. I'm sure there's so many others. These are not all free. Some of them require subscription. Some of them are free for certain tasks. But again, depending on how important productivity to you is, you'll decide what works for you. But I want to go over how these minimize techniques. So the first one is Focus at Will. Focus at Will is a platform that has specific music that was designed to increase your focus. Honestly, don't ask me how, but it actually works. When you put your earbuds and you listen to that particular music, I don't know what it does to you, but you just stay on task, so focused that very, very concentrated on what you have to do. It actually works with some design of neuroscience. They've designed those specific tunes that allow you to reduce the distraction and maintain your productivity. It's not free, but it's very, very focusing. The amount of concentration you get while you have those earbuds on and you're listening, that's very good. So one thing you can do is really incorporate both time management of the 25-minute focus and an app like this that allows you to really stay focused for that amount of time. Okay. The second one that I found productive is Freedom. Freedom gives you like blocks of different apps. You know, apps are very distractive, phones are distractive, those announcements and all those things that we get notifications, really distractive. So what you can create on Freedom is you create yourself time, let's say for the next 25 minutes or a specific time between 8 and 9 a.m. or whatever time you want, which apps are completely blocked. So you can't access them, you can't get notifications from them. You basically get your focus at the time that you need. So that's also very, very productive and worthwhile. The last one that I find so interesting because it's called Forest. It gives you a reward for working productively. This is a popular app that forces you to keep the app opened while you're working on a task. So as you keep the app opened, obviously on the phone, you can't go on another app because you're stuck with this app. If you close the app, it sends you this message as I show on my slide, go back to Forest because otherwise you have a tree that's going to die. So as you work, you basically planting a tree. You plant a tree, the more you work, the tree gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when the tree is fully grown, usually on a time set timer of productivity and work, you have rewarded yourself with points. As you collect the points, I think it's 45 points for 20 minutes or something like that. You can actually build a real tree. After 2,500 points or so on, or something around that number, you actually are able to plant a real tree somewhere out there. So those of you that care about our planet and think that this would be a very rewarding way of getting yourself productive. And the more points you get, the more trees you can plant. One setback of this app is that you can only get 5 maximum planted trees, but just imagine how much work you'll be getting done before you can actually plant 5 trees. And that is really a fun activity to do while being productive. So all of these tools that I'm showing you help fight against procrastination. Procrastination is there for all of us, whether we want it or not. But the more productive and more managed our activities and times are, the more focused we'll be and the more productive our work will be. I want to encourage you all to continue to ask me questions. You can comment below on the YouTube channel that I will post this after. If you're not a member of my YouTube channel, please subscribe. I will be posting all of these sequentially as we go. I also want you to please email me with topics. I will be happy to do any topic of your interest. For next week, I am planning to do a topic of overcoming or dealing with test anxiety, which a lot of us suffer with anxiety of testing. And I'm going to give you some tips for success. So please join me on that. I'm also planning to do book review. Like I said, I am a bookworm. I love reading books and I want to give it to you guys so you don't have to spend all that time reading. So if there's any book that you are interested in reading, but you don't get across because you don't have time, it could be self-improvement book. It could be any book of your interest that you are interested in, please send me a message of what it is that you want, and I'll be so happy to help you and teach you more techniques on these Educational Mondays. Until our educational journey crosses again, always remember that learning is a gateway to a brighter future. Looking forward to see you all next week. Enjoy the rest of your week.